we are trying to put our focus on stage and theater. So we're a theater production company that strives to create, stage plays or productions or musicals that have a particular impact towards society, such that when a given person comes and watches our plays, they don't go back the same way they came. We give them something more than, the usual entertainment or laughter. Probably we sort of quicken their minds towards a particular thing that is happening in society or that happened in society, so that they can be able to better themselves in one way or another.
Basically, you do, plays and all that, different themes and everything, all round.
Different themes, we are all-rounded, and we also try, not just even for the audiences that come to watch our productions, but also for the cast and crew who work with us, right? We strive to ensure that we nurture them, we grow them as well, and we give them different opportunities and expose them to different spaces that are now going to take them from one level to another.
Oh, it's not just about entertainment, but as well empowering not only your audience, but the team as well.
Exactly.
Now, drums of war. The name in itself, someone might think, drums of war. It entails, of course, the themes of war and all that, but like it is described, it is about the battlefield in the mind. Yeah. Tell us about the name itself.
Drums of War. Actually, it was written by MAVIN KIBICHO. He took us back to 1952, to the state of emergency. It's what soldiers go through after the battle, the PTSDs of the time, at that particular time. But right now what he's trying to merge it up is the different pains and struggles that we go through in life. The social struggles at some point, because the guy has a problem with the family, can't face even the daughter because of the things that they are fighting for. And if you look at the society nowadays, we don't have maybe a tangible relationship with our parents at some point. We tend to leave a gap in between where it's the mother that connects the two, and in our play actually, it's the mother trying to bring a daughter who is a rebel and a man who went for war, did things and decided to stay away for even 7 years before coming back. Hence, there's that gap that they're trying to bring into it. There's also the mental struggle that we go through. We might look at it as only as the soldier mental struggle, but where we are right now in life, we have so much that is going on. The social media has come into a point where it messes up with our mental structure that we even don't know until we get at the breaking point. So it just speaks of the mental struggles, the social struggles, the different classes that we have that separates us from one level to the another. So he took a state of the things that the soldiers went through at that particular time and how the white man used to make things work for their sake, and also now bring it to the African families on how we were colonized and the other people who never agreed on the colonization per se. So it's just a matter of balancing the two.
Marvin, being the scriptwriter of this particular play, we are currently, the debate, not only in the country but across the globe as well, is about mental illness and the struggles that we undergo through.
That's right.
Would you say that is part of what inspired you to come with this particular play?
It did. In fact, PTSD is, or rather we used it as a metaphor, an actual, something tangible that people can be able to see, or rather the extreme levels to which mental illness can actually get to. You understand? There are other forms of mental illness, and not just mental illnesses as well, but also stuff to do with anxiety, depression, and, BERIL has mentioned something to do with social media. Right now, a lot of people, I think half the planet is actually on social media. And what that has done is that it has put different people into a space whereby they are living an extreme life. That is to say that they are sort of like giving a facade or masquerading online and not really giving themselves, fully, or rather being honest with how they live their lives. You understand? Now that in itself has made the people who now consume this said media to become, to begin to compare themselves, and in the process, it affects them. in one type of way or another. So every other character who is in this particular production, or rather is acting in this production, every character that I pen down, they are going through some form of trauma, and that trauma is what we would like to basically just get the conversation going, get people to understand exactly what is happening, and to understand that whether it is in the past, at present, or in future, mental illness is something that people need to actually begin to focus on and talk about it. Let's make going out for therapy, normal, and not begin to stigmatize people who actually go for, such sessions.
So it's as well very safe to say when writing a script, sometimes you have specific actors and directors who you want to engage, who will make this play successful.
Most times, that is to say, if you have been within the theater space for a particular period of time, so therefore you have rubbed shoulders with one or two people, one or two people, so of course you will write having one or two people in mind. But at the end of the day, there is always the option of, if you do not have a particular character, then you could always call for auditions, and different people will come into that space, and they will take up that responsibility.
Coming back to you, I'm interested to know, are you part of the actors, having to remember that you're an actress here?
No. For this production, I'm not acting. I'm production managing and stage managing, most likely. And while doing stage managing and production managing at the same time, I wouldn't actually give my best as an actor on the other side.
Doing stage managing, how do you envision the set to be used in the play, the costumes to be used as well?
Well, actually what I do is, first, before he actually writes, he gives me that which he wants, or that which he thinks about. And then after writing the script, I actually have my own time, sit with it, and paint maybe a picture per se on what I might think about it, tell him, and again I'll go and do my research on it, because in that script he has specified some specific years. There's the 1933, the 1945, and 1952. So now all I have to do is understand what was in that time, what type of house did people have at that particular time, what type of dressing code were they going through, and after all that, I bring again to him on the table as the director and see if that is what we were looking at the same time, and also have that session with the actors, because also an actor you might give them something that they are not comfortable with per se, but discussing it also helps, but the buck stops with him, because he knew what he was writing and he knows that which he wants to bring to life at that particular point.
Marvin, she talks about you've incorporated 1932, 1955. It's basically what happened, but you're sort of having this play, having it in mind of whatever happened then.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to know, as a scriptwriter, what makes a successful playwright?
Right. Number one, you need to understand several things, right? There is character and characterization, right? You have to build your characters. That is to say that, you see, if you have gone to a particular play or film, or you've watched a series, the people who are portrayed on the other side, the different characters, they are human beings, right? So the only way that you can be able to be entertained is if you can be able to relate with the said characters. So the first objective of any given writer or any given director is to create characters who are relatable, right? And one of the things that makes people become relatable is the fact that they have flaws. You have flaws, I have flaws, she has flaws, everyone has flaws, right? So now, using those flaws, we now begin to bring these characters into a journey that now asks them from a point of, they are living with their flaws, but towards the end, they have received a realization of these flaws, and they have either or perhaps not been able to overcome these flaws. Then there is the story, right? The story in itself also has to arc, for lack of a better word. In other words, it has to begin at a particular point, the exposition, if you will, and then it has to rise, right, through the different actions that are taking place. So it rises towards a particular climax, and then once we have reached that climax, we begin now again to descend to the anticlimax or towards the end of the said story, right? And then lastly, there is the setting. You have to ensure that this story cannot take place, in the air. It has to take place in a particular point. Right now we are at an interview. This interview is here. So therefore the story also has to take place in a given setting. So setting, character, plot, all those things are just but a few of the things that I look into to write a successful play.
Well, Marvin is talking about, the entire procedure of, writing a script.
Yeah.
And clearly it entails a lot of things. It's not just, I'd say, not just a walk in the park.
It is not.
As Son of Man Productions, being a production manager, what are some of, your best, would I say, selling, but some of your best plays?
Some of our best plays. What we tend to tell ourselves is the best play is the one we are yet to do, but every play leaves a different bar, because like right now the play we had last was Paramore, and that was on a different level, and after that bar that we had set, now we are working towards also making different bars to go. To sell, for us, we look at what impact did it give to the audience and the feedback that we get. And they come differently because they are plays that come in different times and they have different impacts at that particular time. So we tend to tell ourselves that the best play is yet to be done until, because you can't say nimefika, until you get to where, and it's infinity, our best play is yet to be done. But so far, so good.
Because I'm feeling, okay, what is the reception?
The reception?
Yes.
The reception, sorry, it's really good. We can't complain. Being that Paramore was our comeback after COVID, because before COVID we had done a couple of stage productions, and the last one that we were supposed to do was supposed to be Lady in Red Part 2, and then like a few days to the play was like, we have received our first coronavirus. So it was a halt at that particular time. We again tried social signs, and then again we were told that the gathering had to be minimized, so we didn't do it. So from the feedback we got after Paramore, we were a bit shaken, not knowing if actually people are still in touch with us, with the database that we had at that particular time. But the feedback is good. It is really, really good, and the support is overwhelming. We are grateful.
Well, I really want to engage Marvin right now, but want us to take a short breather, and then we'll come back and pick from where BERIL is talking about the reception of our play, because I'd also want to know, because in every department, in everything you do, sometimes there is probably criticism, and how you deal with that. So on that particular note, we let us just take a short breather and then come back with more on Son of Man Productions, because clearly I'm now getting more interested in matters, plays and all that. See you in a bit.
A man, a symbol of strength, power, and leadership.
What does it take for a man to meet society expectations of provision and leadership?
Lazima uwe mtu wa bidii, lazima ukija kuoa lazima uwe ni provider, wewe ndio unatoa kila kitu.
In our weekly episode of Born a Man.
Kusurvive kwa shule ilikuwa ni noma. Yeah, getting something to eat bado, especially in my last 2 years ilikuwa ngumu sana.
Moving from State House Road to Kahawa Ndani, where they came back to be hosted.
We embark on telling stories of what it takes to become a man in today's society, like it has never been told before.
I know men, we are cowards. Because tunaambiwa watu kufa kimwanaume, that's nonsense.
This is the life of a man.
utachagua sura au tabia unapotaka kumchumbia mwanamke?
Anaweza kuwa mrembo lakini hana tabia.
Naweza jifanya ndio hata kama hapa sitapata, nipate kwa tabia.
Ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba wanaume wengi, hata wale ambao wanatutazama wakati huu, ni sura inawavutia mara ya kwanza.
Ukiona mwanaume anasema ule dem ako poa, ule dem, hafikirii future na huyo dem. Huyo mwenye ako poa anapendeza, anakaa vizuri,
wacha kutudanganya. Wajua waweza kuwa na tabia nzuri lakini ikabadilishwa na hali. Kanisani wanja ndugu yangu waimba kwaya, wakishuka wakipanga masika na hao ndugu hawachukui.
Lazima nikae na wewe kwa muda fulani. Nikusome, nikujue kindani sana.
Kuna uchunguzi wa aina mbili ndugu yangu, kuna uchunguzi wa polisi na wa CID. Kama kuna mtu ambaye ana ujuzi wa hali ya juu ya kujifanya na kukusoma akili yako na kukufanya wewe uamini kile unachotaka kutoka kwake, ni mwanamke.
Michezo na wachezaji, matukio na matokeo uwanjani. Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe. Si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. ZFC! Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha, si suisui, na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 ndani ya runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookuptv.
Usiwahi cheza na mboga yangu. Na unafuata nani? Sisikuona ukinifuata. Nimekwambia una shares kwa hii kuku.
You got the roof, man. Hebu kwanza rudi ndani ufresh hiyo choo na make sure umespray.
Juli, kwani wewe hii tumbo yako mimi najua inaweza ingiza kila kitu. Hata chuma nikishiaga nikupea, hata plastic najua utakula. Kwani leo kunaendaje? Kuna kitu sielewi.
Kabisa Mluya. Yaani umeamua kulala uchi.
Sasa kama hakuna ile nguo inanitosha unataka nifanye aje?
Because you are fat.
Sasa ukiongelea mimi ati fat, na Julie tutasemaje?
Kuja.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, we are back on, we call it Artistic Wednesday. And we're talking with BERIL and MAVIN. BERIL was talking about the reception of some of their plays. I was, trying to engage MAVIN because we're talking about everything as, positive and a negative side. And sometimes there's positive and negative criticism. How do you tackle that?
It's at the beginning it wasn't as easy, more so when you, for example, write something and then people either misunderstand it or decide to say that it wasn't so good, and maybe, you know, you felt when you were writing that that was one of your best works. You know, anytime you're creating a particular work of art, you always imagine that this is the best I'm yet to make. Yeah? So now, when people begin to not receive it so well, it can be discouraging. So I try to look at any given criticism, I receive it in a positive way, and then I choose to take out the good and leave out the bad, because there's always going to be those people who are just going to be giving you negative criticism for the sake of discouraging you.
Mhm.
So I usually don't like giving them that platform.
Well, Beryl, for you, when we're talking about tackling, you know, criticism, I don't want to talk much about drums of war. What makes, because for the viewer, there's a viewer out there who want to come and watch drums of war. What is the unique thing, the unique feature about, what makes drums of war unique?
What makes drums of war unique?
Yes.
I'll say the way the script has been written. It takes you to a journey that not so many plays I have watched of late does that, because there's that heightened emotions from per se, and it just has a mixture of everything. And we also have poetry in it. It's not just, it's a lot of things put together. There's a poetic part of it, and then the actors in that thing are amazing. There are people who, if it were for me, I think they should just be in Broadway somewhere. But whatever they're bringing on the table is something that someone wouldn't want to miss and watch it. And again, for that, as Marvin had said, this conversation is not so much talked about. And we want to relate with people like, let's just say per se, the soldiers. We want to make them feel that we know these things happen. We want to talk about them, and the platform of talking about them is just not maybe a talk for the mental thing, but also tend to show them that we can speak about it in a play and tell them that we understand you go through these things, and there's a way that we can help you out of it by the end of the day.
Maybe as well, the production manager, and you talked about, you know, setting up the stage and all that. What are some of the you know, unique themes in this particular play?
The unique themes in the play. So there's the mental health. There's also the social life of the marriage setup, because we understand right now our marriage setup is quite, there's a lot going on. The relationships between mothers and fathers, and at that particular time. I'd also say the finances, financial strains that we have. And then there's also how can I be able to put this? The unspoken things that we have between a daughter and a mother, and the things that we tend to hide. I'm not sure how we can put that as per theme per se, but it is in that. But the major one is the mental health, and then the social class, and also this place of a woman in the society, the place of a man in the society, and the place of also a child in the society.
Talks about the place of a child, a woman, and soldiers. When soldiers go to war, sometimes they take a long time, and sometimes there's no communication.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe family members tend to think, maybe, is our person still there? Is our person still alive? What does the play, you know, entail in terms of maybe loss, dealing with a loss if a soldier goes, because you've talked about the family setup, soldier goes to war, comes and never comes back. How, because that also, you know, some sort of incorporates with issues of mental health.
Yeah.
How does it deal with loss?
So in our play, actually, the wife thinks that the man is dead, and then the man comes back like 7 years later. At first, she was coping up with it by directing all her energy to make sure that her daughter has the best life that the man could have ever given. At the next spot, it's at a space where the daughter now tends to look for things to do to fill in the gap that the father had left, only for us to find out later that she was actually intercepting things for her mother not to suffer, because she had seen that suffering that the mother went through. So they decide to put, like, because there's also a therapist in the play who helps the mother cope with the situation and try to put her in a space of, as much as you have filled in the gap because you found comfort from your worker, or sorry, your employer at that particular time, there's also this life that you don't have to live. So in this case, the woman decided now, for me, I can describe it as the lady decided to fill in the gap of loss by being naive that actually Africans are suffering, you understand? And then the daughter is like, I will fight for you because I feel that. So they look for different things to fill the void, only to understand that later the husband is not there again, the thing switches to a different point. And now they start to seek for help. They bring the therapist into the picture. There's the other daughter who feels like the therapist will not tell me anything. I will have to seek help from out there.
Don't to come to you, Marvin. There are scenic elements in plays and while writing it. How important are they?
Very important. and those scenic elements or spectacle, because in theater we call them spectacles. Those are actually what you envision first before you now begin to also piece up the entire story together. Right? For example, those are those spectacles are what I see, right? And those are what inspire the story to be now penned down. And those spectacles again are those things that now the different members of the audience come to watch. If you check out Aristotle's Poetics, spectacle is actually one of the elements that are there and are very, very important when it comes to literature and theater, right? And if perhaps you'll allow me to delve into something that BERIL was saying,
Sure.
If you look at our society right now, perhaps just to echo what you were saying, mental health is a big issue. In fact, if you look at the conversation right now in the country as far as religious institutions are concerned, why do people find themselves in a place where they are easily manipulated by religious leaders? It is simply because they are stressed. And the moment you are at a place where you are stressed, then you will definitely want to look for solace. And where will you get that solace? If a therapist is expensive, if your friends are too busy for you, if your relatives are probably the ones stressing you, the next best option that you will definitely do is to go and seek some form of, religious counsel or therapy in one way or another. Now, the degree to which people are being manipulated is simply because the degree to which they are stressed is also very high. Again, I don't know if you are privy to whatever it is that was happening on what was being reported in the news yesterday. Look at some of the things that, are being reported. The reports there are shocking. Mothers and children and what have you. Why is it so? Simply because society right now, where we are, the society is stressed. People are stressed. People need a break, right? And that break is what we are basically talking about.
So, what I want to know from you, what other works of art did you, think about when writing this particular play? And maybe just a snippet. What is the climax of this particular play, The Drums of War?
How if I reveal now the what are you
Fair enough. But what other works of art?
We have music. We have music because.
And how important is music in incorporating music in such plays?
It is a form of storytelling. You see, the stories are told, but how are they told? We tell them through dialogue. We tell them through spectacle. We tell them through music. Again, she, perhaps to echo again what she said, she mentioned poetry. We are using poetry and monologues to be able to communicate the same towards our audience. And at the same time, we are also using, I've said music, I've said poetry, monologues as well. Moments where an actor is alone on stage and they just express themselves, right? So all those things, apart from the usual regular acting that probably you see on TV, we have incorporated all those things into this particular piece.
I'm going to come to you, Beryl. Talking about, stage management and production as well. There is the aspect of, when I come to, how do you call it? Is it a theater? Yes, yeah. A theater. The first thing I'd look at is, how is the setup? Mm-hmm. Is it impressive to my eyes? So how do you deal with that in terms of dealing with what can be impressive to the eye of the viewer and trying to as well limit yourself to have the right or the correct, is it, how do you call it? Not costumes per se, but the right, what do they call it? The set, exactly. Yeah, the immediate. How do you juggle in between the two? Trying to impress and having the exact one that can, get the viewer, the person who's come to watch the play, get a better feeling and understand even the play better?
First, I work with the colors. The colors, I tend not to go too bright nor too dull, because if I go on extremes, I will actually lose them the moment they see it at that particular time. So I work with the colors, tend to create mood with the colors per se, and also leave them at a cliffhanger of, yes, I have created the mood, but what mood am I speaking to? Because if I've already given you the mood I want at the end, at the beginning, that doesn't work. And then now the lightings also help in switching from one level to another. And I think Drums of War was quite challenging for me because it's in 1952. If you look at everything in 1952, it's more of black and white. And you can't just stick with black and white per se, because someone will, it's black and white, so what? So I do the colors and then we work with the lights and see how it can work. And also the props on stage, I tend to look for things in the archives. They're not easy to find, but someone will look at something that they saw their grandmother have and they're like, ooh, I'd really like to see that to me. So colors is what I ran for. And the setup back then to make it believable.
Marvin, as the scriptwriter, there are subplots in writing scripts. How do they incorporate to the main plot? Or sort of incorporate.
They act as, you see the way we have main characters and supporting characters and then extras, then the subplots support the overall plot, right? That is to say, if I'm writing a story and the main character, for example, is BERIL, and I am a supporting character, it would always be good, or it's a bit advisable to have now me with a particular subplot that now aids the overall major plot of the story. It acts as a catalyst. It acts as something that basically accentuates the entire story altogether and builds up to it in a complex plot, if you will, that now sends the viewer and allows the writer at the same time to be able to create nuances both at present that are later on going to be seen in the future. You understand? What am I talking about? If, for example, you're watching a particular story and, character X says something like, I went to the market and I saw someone who's dead. You understand? That's character A who has said that. And in the house, character A is probably married to character B. So the story continues after like 10 or 15 or even 30 minutes of the storyline. Character B is seated with character A in the living room watching TV, right? And as they're seated, they're watching the news, and immediately a call comes through. A call comes through to character B, and they have been told that someone whom they love is in hospital. You understand? And they end up realizing that the person who character A was talking about is the one who is in hospital. You understand? So that's how subplots are important. And not just to the overall plot line of the story. Remember, characters also have their own stories. And how these stories merge to the overall main character story is also important, because you cannot have a character who doesn't have a story, because it's very, very difficult to find a human being who doesn't have a story in this planet.
Now, I want to hear from both of you, because the government has been vocal about supporting the youth in you know, the art industry, entertainment production and all that.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think the government should do more to ensure that, you know, they can support people like you in production?
Number one, they should come watch our plays. Right?
Yeah.
So this is an invite to anyone out there who is in government, and it doesn't matter, it cuts across the board, whether you're a politician, member of county assembly, woman representative, you know, governor, come, watch. Theater acts, and media basically acts as a mirror towards society to basically tell you guys, hey, this is what is happening, right? And it also offers an opportunity that you can be able to plug in and see how you can also be able to do what? To support the same. It would also be good if we could be able to have more spaces within the CBD, or just, you know, the outskirts of the CBD, whereby we could be able to have, you know, different affordable spaces that we can be able now to present the different productions that we have, because currently they're very, very few. In fact, there are less than 10, actually there are less than 5 within CBD, and only less than 2 probably that are affordable. The rest are overly expensive, and only 1 which has the facilities that would, you know, are demanded of for a quality production. So you can imagine now where we are, and that is the kind of support that we are looking for. You understand? For them to basically come and watch, and once they see, they will also begin to understand exactly the things we need. And from then on, policy can also begin to be, you know, made, structures could also begin to be put in place, whereby now things can be able now to become easier for the different people who are within the theater space or the entertainment space to be able now to further themselves, because entertainment has a lot of potential, more so in this 21st century social media age.
Beryl, what about you? Or do you echo the same?
Yeah, I do echo the same, because the thing that actually is something that is straining us is the space. Because right now, if it is not at the Kenya National Theatre, the other spaces, yes, they're there, but they don't help you give that feel of theatre. Like, for example, we have Nairobi Cinema in the CBD, but it was made for cinema, not for theatre. So as much as you'd want to put a theatre play there, it has so much strains that happen with it. Also, I don't know, maybe more dockets for theatre specifically, that will actually help, because the film, yes, is out there, and the TV, but you also need for theatre and the playwrights of the theatre, they know what happens, the directors in theatre. We just need a theatre docket that will help the theatre people who will help us in that space.
Before I go back to Marvin, you know, looking at the graphics used here, and it's appealing. You don't know, and maybe before you tell us about that, Marvin.
Graphics.
Yes, the graphics. and how did you come up with the title Drums of War? Because when someone says Drums of War and the graphics used, it gives you a feeling of, I want to know what it entails. And how important is it in ensuring that you capture the moment of the mind of, you know, the person who intends to come and watch the play?
I was coming from Kileleshwa, got to the junction between Harithuku Road and Kijabe Street. You know that junction? Apparently, Uhuru Highway had some bit of traffic, so I decided to just take a detour. So as I was there, I had drums playing. So as I had these drums playing, I got interested. And I found out that there was this team of guys who are from Burundi who are just basically practicing for their presentation. So they usually do it every Thursday. So they were really playing the drums very well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop listening to them. Like, I stayed there for like 30 minutes, and then I'm like, hey, I should record this. So I pick out my phone, I recorded it, and then, you know, it kept on ringing in my head and in my heart again and again and again, and I was like, this, I have to write something with regard to this. And now, building on from that, that's when now the idea of war came into the picture, because in our African society, so back in the day, drums were usually played not just during the ceremonies, but also before wartime. You understand? So between ceremonies and war, which one would be more appealing? I chose war. And now afterwards, now that's when I got in touch with my graphic designer. I gave him a bit of synopsis of the entire story, because at that time I hadn't even written it. And Jeremy just did an amazing, amazing job. And the reason why graphics and, you know, visual media is important is because that is what the people see first. That is what draws them in first. Like before anything else, that the picture, the poster should basically tell the entire storyline from start to finish in 1 second.
I hope one day as well I can be driving through getting inspired to write a play.
That's
we're coming to you, Beryl, even as you wrap this particular conversation. Give us, where can someone who's out there wants to come and watch this play, where can they watch it? Where can they get the tickets? What are the prices of the tickets?
Okay, so the play will be happening this Sunday. We have one at 3 p.m., the other at 6 p.m. at Kenya National Theatre. Ukumbi Mdogo, to be specific. Ukiingia, it's just on your left. You'll see our banner there to direct you. So advanced tickets, we have singles for 1,300. Couples for 2,400, that's advance. And then at the gate, we have 1,500 and 2,600 for the couples. 2,500 for the couples. And then we have a group of 5 for 11,000. All I can also tell our audiences is to be on the lookout on our socials, because we usually have like maybe flash sales from time to time. Like we had another one on Sunday that helped out. And because today is Wednesday, who knows, something might pop up hapo katikati.
What are your handles on social media?
Okay, so mine personally is at BERIL OONDO. And then we have MAVIN KIBICHO at Mavela. And then we have at Naomi the actress, who's the actor. We have at Leila Kare, we have at Michelle Tyers, and at Peter Saisi.
Saisi Poet.
Saisi Poet, yeah. And also at Prince Della. Well, those are the actors' handles. You can also check at Son of Man Media on Instagram or on Facebook. Our tickets are at mook.com Africa. Yes. In case of any questions, there are numbers on our posters. You'll find, kwa hawa watu wote mention, you'll find 1 or 2 people with the posters there. So the 2 numbers that are down there, call them and you'll definitely get.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering what contacts Beryl is talking about, the first one is 0711 521 690, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And the other one is 0743 726 326. You've talked about 2 plays, 3 and 6.
Yes, 3 p.m. and the other one is at 6 p.m. The play takes 2 hours. So we just have like an hour breather in between. So the first play starts at 3 to 5 p.m. The next one is from 6 to 8 p.m.
I don't believe Drums of War will be at 6.
All of them are drums of war.
All of them are drums of war.
Very
Yes,
nice.
yes.
It's
the same play, just 2 shows.
I'd really want to be there, but because I'll be at work, nitaenda kuwapigia debe huko kwa ofisi, watu wakuje. Those will not be at work, wakuje waone and support you guys. Marvin, as you wrap up this conversation, what did you tell? Because as it stands and at the moment, you've talked about social media and the internet, and there are many young, vijana huko nje who are interested in, script plays and productions. What do you tell them?
Do it. Do it. Do not hesitate. Do it and do it and do it some more. If the only thing you have is a table and a chair, do it. If only one person comes to your show, do it. Just do it.
Do it, do it, do it. Like Marvin KIBICHO says, and do not hesitate. Usifike katikati useme, maybe I cannot do it. Just go. It's never good to lose hope or, get tired along the way. They say patience pays.
That's right.
Marvin and Beryl, thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
And I'll be sure I'll check out you guys on social media. I'm hoping you do have plays maybe on Saturdays, because Saturdays I'm not at work.
Oh, okay.
Then I can be able to come and support you guys, because I really want to be there.
I'll definitely invite you for the next one, because we had another one this weekend. So sorry, I will invite you for the next one that I am acting.
Thank you very much. The one that you're acting, no problem.
That's a promise.
I'll be waiting for that
Okay.
phone call. But thank you guys. Thank you very much for coming. And thank you very much, because it's entertaining and it's refreshing, to be specific, to see young people in this particular industry, and they want more young people to come into the industry. Despite the challenges here and there, you still are pushing it to ensure that your work does not go in vain. And I'm particularly impressed. Particularly impressed with Drums of War and the graphics, like you said. And I'm always not here alone. I'm always here with there's one guy called Simba Charles Saleza Kiage. He loves plays so much. He wanted to be here, but he's not here at the moment. But I'll give him a call. Tell him to be there, because I personally will not be there. I'll let him know and ask him to be there. But thank you very much for joining us today, Marvin and Beryl. We also want to have you yet again here some other time.
Okay.
Well, that was Marvin and Beryl from Son of Man Productions. You can check them out on social media. And like they say, Drums of War. Promise you, from what I've heard here and from what you've heard, and in case you're just joining us, you've not had the particular conversation, check them on social media. Be sure to be there if you'll be within the capital on Sunday to watch Drums of War. It'll be very, very interesting for you. On this particular note, we go on a short breather. I'll be back with what is trending on the socials this morning and many more. Don't go away.